Welcome back to the stream. I'm Eric C. Jackson. Today we're going to make a few corrections on what I talked about in the last episode in terms of the Excel formula. And as I watched it over again on playback, I realized that I needed to make a major correction on it. And that has to do with the pricing. If there's a pricing change to the base price, specifically if the price goes up on the base price, then you will have to adjust your percentage, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about in the example. So I still have another template here, and so for example, let's say this is your product, and then this is your base price here. Let me see if I can enlarge this. Okay, so product up here, and like I said before, I start with a 12 by 8, which is the smallest that I have for the 3:2 ratio. And then I have another example down here is an 8:8 or the 1:1 ratio. Two different prices, right? So this up here, and let me type this in really quick. So all this up here is your profit margin. And that's basically what you want to make as an artist, creator, for each piece on your work. And as I said before, my work is in different tiers because I don't rank all my photographs the same. There are some better than others. There are some middle of the road. There are some that are towards the bottom. And then if a photograph gets too old, then it just falls out of my inventory completely. So with this example here, let's say that you want to make $400 for this particular print. And what I encouraged you guys in the last episode is you look at an 8 by 12 or your smallest size available, and just ask yourself, how much do you want to make in profit from that print at that size selling, right? So for me, my smallest size is a 12 by 8, and I know this base price looks expensive, but just stick with me here on this one. So this is the base price of how much the product actually costs. So if you're purchasing it from your provider, or if you make the products yourself, like how much is the base price? How much does it take? How much money does it cost you to create the product, right? So that's the base price. And then your profit is added on, your profit margin is added on to the top of that. So in this case, you would have $400 added on to the $303.95. Okay. So how do you insert the proper percentage on the website? Because a lot of websites are going to ask you, what is your profit margin for this particular product or this particular size on the product? And you have to input a percentage in many cases. You can also input a flat fee onto your image. But for this example, we're just going to go with a percentage. Say that you want to enter a percentage for that product. So how do you come up with that percentage? And the formula, Excel formula that we talked about before, is the same thing. So in this case, you would put equals 400 divided by your base price, and then you end up with 1.31, and then there's a lot of numbers here. Right, so what does that mean? That means that you have to take the 1.31 and all the numbers and convert that over into a percentage. And then you take the percentage and you insert it here. And then you come down here and you say equals your base price times your percentage that you just came up with. And that should equal whatever your profit margin is supposed to be. So when you go to the website, you're going to enter in 132% for your profit margin, right? So your profit margin using the percentage is based on how much the base price is, right? So that's why if you take this base price and you change it to, let's say, $200, it's going to change everything, right? Or let's say that the 303.95 actually goes up in price and now it's $400. It changes everything. Right. So what I mentioned before is that if the base price goes up, the correct price should automatically adjust, but that's incorrect. It does not. So it goes back to my point of, I would say every quarter or every 2 quarters, go into your inventory and check the base price to make sure that there's no giant leaps in terms of the pricing, the base price going up. Because if it is, that means that you're going to have to readjust your percentage for that product that you put in as your profit margin. So in this case, let's just say that it went up to 400 and you still want your profit margin to stay at 400. So what are you going to have to do? You're going to have to go equals, you still want $400 as your profit margin divided by the base price. And it just has 1. So in that case, I would say it's going to be 100%. And then there's your $400 right there. Because you're still saying equals base price times percentage. And it's 400. Now let's just say the price goes up again, unfortunately. So let's say it's like minor. Let's just go to 415. Then what happens? So now it's at 415. This, if you keep this at 100%, your profit is going to jump up to 415. And at some point, the customer or the client, potential art collector, is going to say your prices are getting too high. You're going to have to come in here and adjust this a little bit. So since this changed to 415, this number is still the same, but instead of 1, it dropped to 0.96 and then a whole bunch of numbers, which basically means you have to change your percentage to 97%. And then that brings your cost back down to where it's supposed to be. So it's a slight adjustment. Now, if you bring this down to 96%, as we mentioned before, or talked about last time, you're going to fall below the $400 mark for your profit margin. So, as I said before, I always want to make sure I either reach that or go over it. Maybe a little bit is okay, but I definitely don't want to drop below whatever I set my profit margin as. So again, 97%, you just round it up, and there you go. Now, yes, it's still because it's not automated like I thought it was, it's still going to be a little bit of work to go back through all your products, adjust the percentage if you have just used jump in price. Okay, so let's give another example. Let's say now that the price drops to $250 and you still want the $400 as your profit margin. So formula doesn't change, right? So right now I think it says, let's see, 1.6. So I'm guessing it's 160 because I'm trying to make sure I get the conversion right. From decimal to percentage, I think it's going to be 160. Okay, that's not right. Too many zeros. 160. There it is. Okay, so 1.6 converts into 160% as a percentage. And then there's your $400 right there. So that's the thing you have to be careful on. And of course, you're going to have multiple tiers. You're going to have to correct that on every single tier, and then do the same thing when you go to the next product that's in a 1:1 ratio or square. Same thing, check the percentages and make sure that your numbers are correct in terms of where your profit margin falls. It's not too high, it's not, too low, but really stays where it's supposed to, And so again, that all depends on whoever is providing you the product or providing you the in this case, photo paper. You have to continue to check their base price, as I've said, and make sure that it hasn't jumped really one way or the other, up or down. So we'll go ahead and fill this part out here, just so that we can get in a little bit of a rhythm here. So this is a tier 2. And tier 2, for example, you want $275 for profit on this particular size and product. So you would just say equals 275 divided by, which is that slash symbol, and then your base price. And it says 1:1. Okay, so now I'm thinking that's 110%. So there's that. So now to make sure your math is correct, to make sure you get this 275, you come down here, equals base price times the percentage. Enter. And there's your 275. So now you know when you go to the website and they ask you, okay, what percentage do you want this to be in terms of getting your profit margin? You go ahead and input 110%. And like I said, we'll just keep going until this is done. This one's tier 3, $100 divided by base price. That looks like 40%, I'm going to say. So you just input 40%. You come down here and check your math. In this case, I'm checking my math. Base price times percentage. Enter. And there's your $100 to match up here. Okay, so tier 4, this is $40 for profit margin divided by base price equals 0.16. So I'm looking at that as 16%. And then to check if my math is correct, equals base price times percentage. And there's your $40 right there. Last one equals In this case, you want your profit to be $10 divided by base price equals, and it says 0.04. So that really means 4% is what that is. And again, check the math, equals base price times the percentage, enter, and there's your $10. And you just rinse and repeat. And again, the issue is if this jumps to 275, look at what everything does. All of your profit margins jumped up too high. This is not too bad. It just jumped from $10 to $11, but keep an eye on it. If you have to adjust, you can go ahead and do that. So with this formula, I am noticing that it is adjusting this number correctly, right? Like 1 actually means 100%. And see, there's your 275. The 440 that's here is too high, right? So this is 1.45, a bunch of numbers. So basically that's 140. You can round it up to 146%. So 146. And then there you go. It dropped back down. So basically, if your price has gone up in particular, just input the new base price, and then the formula is going to adjust the numbers for you so that you can correct the percentage that's here. So in this case, it's 36%, but I always go up 1. So I'll put 37%, and there's your around $100. Now, if you want to drop a little bit below, just go 36%. There's $99 instead of $100. Okay. So I'll leave that up to you guys. But for me, like I said, I want to make sure that I at least hit that profit margin mark. And a little bit over that is okay with me. So for this one, it dropped down to 0.145. So again, I would round that up to 15%. And there you go. It dropped a little bit. This one is still really 4% because it's 0.036. You would round it up to 4%. So that stayed the same. But yeah, it still can be time consuming. But I would say once a quarter or once every other quarter, which is like 6 months, every 6 months or so, check your pricing to make sure there's no huge changes to it. And then you can go back in and fix it. But that's all I wanted to show you guys. It's really important to make sure your pricing is correct because you can either be losing money or charging too much, and then you'll start losing customers. So it's important to have that together. And like I said on the last episode, this is the quickest way that I found to, that I can update my pricing when the base price does fluctuate. So I'm just trying to make it as fast as possible. And I think I'm going to go in. Let me see if I can pull this up one more time. Hold on. See if I can pull this up just to show you guys where the percentage goes on, like if you use the promo code that I usually leave in the description for Photo Deck, I'm going to show you where you're going to put the percentages at. just in case you guys want to go through the trial version of the web host I'm using. Hold on, let me bring up the correct page. Okay, here we go. All right, so like I said before, let me come back over here and enlarge this. So if you use Photodeck or you go through the free trial of it, this is the flat fee up here for your, just a flat fee on the image. You don't go by percentage or anything. It's just whatever you want that to be. You can have that. But like I said on the last episode, I don't use that one. And there's also cost of options, which is if they want to add a frame that's not normally offered, matting, a thicker border on the prints, things like that. All of that costs them extra. You can also add a profit margin on top of any extra options that the customer adds on. But again, I don't charge extra on that either. So the only thing I'm going for is markup on the print, add it to the base print cost, right? So I would come here, and these are my percentages up here that I would have. So that's where I would put that number or that percentage. And then that dictates what the added on price of this will be. So if you want to add on $400 to this particular product, you would have to enter 146%. So once you do that, 146, and then you would just save it. And so you would have the base price and then 146%, whatever that would be. In this case, it would be $400. And that would be added on top of the base price. And so your retail is going to end up being, let's see, in this case, you would say equals, here's your base price plus, this is what the percentage is. And there you go. Your retail would be $676.50. And the same thing would be down the line. I don't know if I can copy this sideways. I'm not sure if I can. I don't know. Nope, that didn't work. I know I can do this vertically, but not horizontal. So again, base price plus and there you go. Your retail would be $550 for this one. I think if you want to copy this down, I think I'm able to do that. Hold on. So I'm gonna copy the cell, and I'm gonna select these, and I'm just gonna paste it. Yes, that works. I think. Hold on. Did it work? No, it picked the wrong cell. It picked the wrong one. It's supposed to be B3. There we go. So let me try that again. That was supposed to work. So that copy, paste. Nope, it still didn't work. I don't know why. It picked the wrong cell. Okay, So that's the base price for all of them. Base price, well, that's the retail, I should say. Retail for all of them. Base price plus whatever your percentage is for this, like 4%. And then it comes down here. So it's really $11. 15% of the base price is $41.25. So that gets added on top. And then you end up with your retail down here. And I don't know what color I would put that, but just to make everything a little bit more clear with what's going on. So then you'll know how much, as far as retail price, how much everything is. But I think that's all I have for this lesson here. And I do apologize about the mistake before. But for sure, the base price changes. Go in and change your percentage or update your percentage on your products. All right, so if anyone has any questions on this or need more clarification, I'm always happy to answer the questions, and I always do my best to pay attention to the feedback that you guys give. And so thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Take care.